Don't Breathe 2 is the sequel to Don't Breathe, the sort of breakout horror hit of 2016. It's been 5 long years, but Fede Alvarez does not direct this one. He lets someone else do it. I think he produced and wrote this one, along with Stephen Lang and a few others. But this time, the movie tries to go for a Terminator 2-like twist, in which the blind man is now the protagonist. He has informally adopted a young girl who survived a house fire, and he's been training her. He's sort of keeping her away from the world, though he doesn't want the world to see her, but she occasionally gets to go on and help this friend of the family. He grows plants in a little greenhouse and she sells it. So however, on one of their trips, a creepy man makes contact with the girl, and he has, plans for her. So he shows up with some men outside the house, have a little confrontation with the blind man, and they start going after each other. A lot of violence. So overall, I kind of enjoyed this movie. It was really simple, good story, but they still retain that emotional characters. There's also nice twists. I really liked how the movie was also laced with a lot of dark humor. It kind of made a nice balance to the grim aesthetic. I noticed the set design was very specific and really great, because like every house is kind of grungy. It could look like a crack house. Even the washrooms looked really dirty. It kind of seemed like we're almost living in a dystopian, like, shitty part of town where everything's just kind of like habitually crappy. Nothing's new, nothing's clean. I really like that aspect, because it is a sort of, it's more of an action thriller this go around, but it still has the horror elements. I still found myself being really, a little jumpy at certain spots. Really great suspense. They definitely play up the tone a little bit more for the action aspect, because they sort of blow up everything. I don't know if the budget's bigger this time around, but there's a lot more going on in terms of like they didn't need to have so many men try to attack the blind man and the kid, because there's like 6 of them or like more, and they kind of like keep like amping it up a little. I don't think it needed to do that. It could have just maybe stuck with like a core certain number of attackers, but they sort of kept playing up the action element. So there's like more explosions, there's more shooting, there's more confrontations. It definitely felt more like an action movie than a horror thriller this go around, but that's okay. Also, I guess changing the location halfway during the movie as well also sort of changed the sort of claustrophobic feel, because the first movie only took place in one house, and this movie also does take place in one house for 75% of the movie, but then we sort of shift gears and the last act takes place somewhere else. And also, there's a lot of weird story elements going on in the final, I want to say 15 minutes or so, that didn't quite stick the landing. Too on the nose in terms of theme. Could have used a little bit more finessing, I felt. But overall, very violent, very entertaining, dark, great set design, acting, emotional core is still there. Definitely, for fans of the first one, it's definitely a must-see. Horror fans will enjoy. It's definitely an interesting film. I definitely enjoyed it, even though it wasn't perfect. So I give Don't Breathe 2 a 7 out of 10.